I studied in Austria nearly 40 years ago, and Christmas markets have been a part of my life ever since. I've watched them evolve. They used to be small and quite local, neighbors selling what neighbors made, but now some of them are enormous. And yes, they're more commercial than they once were. But the European Christmas markets still have a distinct atmosphere that the rest of the world simply cannot match. You can walk through a Christmas market in Toronto or Vancouver, and it's pleasant enough. The stalls are there, the lights are there, hot mulled wine is there, but something's missing, and it took me a few years to put a finger on exactly what. These markets back home were built as commercial ventures, while the ones in Europe have a tradition and a soul around celebrating the holidays and community, and that origin is still very much in them. You can feel it, because although tourists now play a role, the people standing around the stalls actually live in the city for the most part. They're meeting friends after work or catching up with family around a barrel that's been made into a table. And that's what we're going to be a part of. 2 weeks, 4 cities to live in. First Frankfurt for 2 nights to find our feet and to walk into one of the oldest markets in Germany on the very first evening. Then north to Dusseldorf for 3 nights, with a short train ride to Cologne for the market at the foot of the famed cathedral. From there we cross into Belgium with a stop in Brussels along the way before settling in Ghent for 4 nights with a day trip to Bruges. Then we fly south to Vienna and stay another 4 with 1 day reserved for a train into Slovakia, to Bratislava, where the old Habsburg world still shows itself. 3 countries, the Rhineland, Flanders, and the heart of Middle Europe, and time to savor each stop. We start in Frankfurt not only because it's convenient to fly to, but also because the Frankfurt Christmas market is one of the oldest in Germany. Records of it go back to the 14th century. Over 600 years of December evenings on the Römerberg Square. The half-timbered houses that were rebuilt after the war faithfully, exactly as they had stood, and at Christmas, they're the right backdrop for what they were designed to be the backdrop for. The smell is roasted almonds, mulled wine, and wood smoke. The sound is conversation in German. The next day, we walk Frankfurt properly. Goethe's birthplace, the iron footbridge over the Main River, Sachsenhausen with its old apple wine taverns, and we'll return to the market in the evening, this time knowing a little bit more about the city. Then we'll head up the Rhine to Dusseldorf, which becomes our base for 3 nights. And I'll say it plainly, Dusseldorf's markets are, in my opinion, the best of the German ones we visit. Not a single market, but around 7 of them, each staged in a different square with its own theme. A star market, a fairy tale market, a marché on the elegant Königsallee, all within easy walking distance of each other. You wander between them in an evening, and somewhere along the way, the city starts itself to feel like a Christmas tree. From Dusseldorf, we take a short train south to Cologne, where the market sits at the foot of the massive cathedral. The cathedral is one of those buildings that doesn't photograph properly. You have to stand under it. The market itself isn't huge, modest in scale compared to Dusseldorf, but the backdrop is unforgettable. A canopy of stars strung above the square, a warm beverage in your hand, and 7 centuries of Gothic stone rising over your shoulder. From Dusseldorf, we cross into Belgium with a stop in Brussels along the way before continuing on to Ghent for 4 nights. Now, if anyone thinks the Belgians do Christmas more quietly than the Germans, well, they haven't been to Brussels in December. The Belgians do every festival with vigor, and Christmas is no different. But what changes is the menu. Now, you'll still find mulled wine if you want it, but the Belgian Christmas market has its own pantry. Trappist holiday ales, which are strong, dark, and brewed by monks in abbeys that have been at it for centuries. Then there's Genever, the juniper spirit that gave the world the word gin, served at Christmas in dozens of fruit and spice varieties from little wooden stalls. Then there's the hot chocolate, made with real Belgian chocolate, which is to say nothing like what you've had elsewhere. It's thick enough that the spoon stands up in it. And to eat, well, there's raclette scraped onto a baguette, smokebolle dusted in sugar, waffles in both the Brussels and the Liège styles. The food alone is reason enough to come. But the real reason I chose to include Belgium in our tour of Europe's Christmas markets is the cities. Brussels gives us the Grand Place at Christmas, a square that Victor Hugo called the most beautiful in Europe, where we'll spend a few hours on our way through before continuing on to Ghent. And then there's Ghent itself, a city that has the bones of a medieval capital. For a period back in the 15th century, It was the second largest city in Europe after Paris. And in December, the canals reflect the lights of buildings that were old when Canada was being mapped. We'll walk it with a guide on our first morning and then keep coming back to the same streets at different hours, which is what you can do when you stay 4 nights in one place. From Ghent, we take a day in Bruges, which I'd argue is the prettiest small city in Northern Europe at any time of year, and is something else again in December. 2 markets there, nearby each other with different characters, one traditional, one focused on craft producers, both small enough that you finish them and have time to wander the other streets and along its beautiful canals. What previous travelers on this trip have remarked on more than anything else, though, is the conversation. Because these markets are made for people who live there, you end up talking to them, over a Trappist ale, over a hot chocolate, or in line for waffles. It happens more than you'd expect, and it's part of the trip that people remember. From Belgium, we fly to Vienna, and the trip turns again. Vienna is where the Christmas market was invented. In 1296, Albrecht I granted the citizens the right to hold a December market, which they called at the time a Krippenmarkt, a manger market, and it has been happening in some form ever since. Today, there are more than 20 official Advent markets across the city, and over 4 nights, we'll have our time to find the favorites. The Rathaus market is the spectacle. It's the big one, the one on the postcards, in front of the neo-Gothic city hall with the trees lit up across the park. But if you ask travelers from previous departures which market they like best for actual shopping, the answer is almost always Karlsplatz, Charles Square. It's smaller and calmer, set in front of the great Baroque Karlskirche, and the stalls there are almost mostly reserved for genuine handicrafts. No mass-produced ornaments, things you'd actually bring home. It was the favorite of last year's group. The Belvedere Palace has also an elegant market, and Schönbrunn has the imperial one. Even with 4 nights, we'll be hard-pressed to get to all of them, but that's not the point, because Vienna isn't only about the markets. It's about the city in winter. The coffee houses with their newspapers on wooden poles, the bakeries with vanillekipferl in the windows, and the smell of roasted chestnuts on every other corner. We'll spend an afternoon on a Viennese food walk, tasting some of the treats that the city is famous for, followed by an evening at a classical concert. The program will be set closer to the date, but it'll probably be some Mozart and maybe a little Strauss, the city's own composers in the city's own venues. This is not a manufactured experience. Vienna takes its music as seriously as it takes its coffee, which is to say, very seriously. Then we'll take a day east by train to Bratislava, an hour from Vienna and very much its own place. The Slovak capital, an old coronation city for the Hungarian kings, with a compact old town and a newer Christmas market that's been running since 1993, the year Slovakia became Slovakia. Yet it feels like it's been around for 100 years. I should be honest about what these cities are like in December. It'll be cold, probably not as cold as most cities in Canada, however, and some days it might get a bit wet. The sun goes down early, but that's when the Christmas lights illuminate everything and when you'll want to be back at the markets, because that's when they come alive. This is the only time of year you see these places the way they were designed to be seen. Frankfurt's old town was rebuilt for the market squares. Cologne's cathedral was built to be approached on foot with reverence in winter light. Vienna's grand boulevards were laid out by an empire that ruled half of Europe and had every intention of being looked at. December is when these cities stop being museums of themselves and start doing what they used to do. And 4 home bases is, frankly, the only sensible way to experience all this. Sure, you could take a river cruise and see some of these places and take a bus back to eat all your meals on the boat, but then you'd miss what these markets are really all about. That's the trip. 3 countries, 4 cities lived in for a few days each, enabling us to see at least 8 different markets, all enjoyed with a small group of fellow Canadians, and the simple pleasure of being where Christmas was invented, in the company of people who still mean it. Thoughtfully planned, like-minded company, and some long winter evenings worth remembering.